Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Today we talk about the Hamza and its types. Okay, so firstly we had an Alif and we have an Hamza, and they're basically the same, or we can treat them as a different. Okay, because sometimes they behave like the same and sometimes they behave differently. Now this Hamza, okay, needs a chair. Okay, he has the companion alphabets where this Hamza sits on, so it sometimes acts on alone, sometimes it need a chair. It can sit on a alif, it can sit on a vav, it can sit on a ya, or sometimes it can sit alone. Okay, and this alif actually is a vowel. It doesn't have any sound. It has no sound whatsoever, right? It doesn't have any sound. Okay, but this has sound. If you say like this, now you say alif has a sound as it's not actually the alif, it's actually the Hamza. And you see some books write it like this, or some chose to write it like this. But you write it like this or you write like this, it's not actually the alif, it's the Hamza, because alif cannot have its any sound. It's the Hamza who has a sound. Okay, so the consonant. So if the alif has a fatha or kasra or dhamma or anything on it, it's not an alif. It's a Hamza. Okay, and Hamza needs some companion alphabets to sit on or sit under to get the voice. Okay, that's the one more thing. Let me write few words here to make you understand. Okay. Now, if you look here, I have written some words here. Now you see Hamza, it's sitting on an alif. Here Hamza is alone, as you could see, and here Hamza is also alone, and here Hamza is on the vav, and here Hamza is on the ya, right? So now question is, when will this happen? When will the Hamza sit on a alif or sit alone, or sit on a vav, or sit on a ya? It depends on the preceding letter. Now, if you see the preceding, the vowel, the preceding not letter is the vowel, that the short vowels, the fatha, kasra, or dhamma. If the preceding letter has a fatha, okay, then it's gonna need the alif to sit on. Then if the preceding letter here, if you see, the preceding letter is the alif and it has a sukoon on it. Same way is here, it's a sukoon on it. Okay, if the preceding letter has the sukoon on it, then Hamza sits alone. If the preceding letter has a sukoon on it, then Hamza sits alone. But if the preceding letter has a dhamma, then it sits on the vav. So for dhamma, it sits on a vav. For fatha, it sits on an alif. And for sukoon, it sits alone. And if it is a kasra, then it sits on a ya. Okay, as you see, it's sitting on a ya. So remember these things, that if the preceding letter has a fatha, so it needs alif to sit on. If the preceding letter is sukoon, it sits alone. If the preceding letter is dhamma, it sits on a vav. And if the preceding letter is kasra, it sits on a ya. Right? Does that make sense? Nice. Now, if you see, the Hamza has two types. Okay, one is the Hamzatul Qat. Okay, and second one is the Hamzatul Was. Now, Hamzatul Qat and Hamzatul Was, what is the difference? The Hamzatul Qat is actually the actual Hamza, which has its own voice. But Hamzatul Wasl means joining. It's not for the voice, but it means let me join the two words from this word to this word. Okay, and it joins them. So this is what the wasl means. Okay, and qata means cutting, and wasl means joining. Okay, or assimilation. Sometimes we call it assimilation. So it's the Hamza of assimilation or joining, and this is the Hamza of cutting. Why we say cutting? Because it cuts the word and gives you the voice, separate voice. What is that? We'll understand that. But firstly, When you say Hamzatul Qatar, it has its own voice. So it will be like we were talking about that it needs some chair, okay, to sit on or sit under. It could be having a fatha, it could be having the kasra, it could be having dhamma, it may sit on a waw, it may sit on a ya, but it has its own voice, okay? But the Hamzatul Wasl is written like this, or sometimes it's written like this, alif, and little swad on the head of the swad on the top. But if you see the Quran, the Indo-Pak Quran, what do you call that as the Mushaf, okay? And the plural is Masahif. So there is two things. One's called Mushaf, Mim, Swad, Ha, and Fa. That's called Mushaf, okay? I think Swad has this, and Ha has a Fatha on it. Mushaf. And then there is Masahif, Mim, Swad, Alif, Ha, and Fa. Masahif. The Masahif is a plural of Mushaf. Now, what is the difference between the Quran and the Mushaf? You should also know that. The Quran is only the one, okay? The book you have in a home is actually not a Quran. It is the Musaf, the written form of Quran. The Quran means what Quran means actually. It means recitation. What Prophet Muhammad got from the Allah Ta'ala, where Jibreel was the recitation, oral. But later on it was compiled and written with some, some style and all. That's called the Musaf. If you see the Mushaf, firstly, what's the difference between Musaf and Masahif and Quran is that if you say, I want 10 copies of Quran, you won't tell him that I want 10 Quran, because Quran is the only one thing. Okay, but the copies of that Quran can be different, right? So that's called Masahif, and or the Musaf is a singular. That whatever the book you have, that is the Musaf. The Quran is only one, and Quran actually means the recitation. And then there are different versions of the Musaf, writing styles. If you see the Indo-Pak style, they don't write the swad on the alif. But if you see the Arabic, the Makkah, the Medina and all, they write the Musaf they write the swad there. But if, no matter what, if you see the alif without any swad or any haraka or any hamza on it or below it, it's gonna be the Hamzatul Wasl. It's not the Hamza, it's Hamzatul Wasl, which actually means the joining letter, right? Now if you see, I got the one Musaf on the right, which is the Saudi Musaf, and one on the left is the Indo-Pak Musaf, okay? Now, what is the difference between the two is that it's a writing style. Now, if you see here, this alif in the Bismillah, this alif is the Hamzatul Wasl, which is having simple alif without that swad. But if you see here, in this case, you will see the swad, right? If you see here, there is a swad letter on the top, right? Just see it here. There's a swad here. That means it's a Hamzatul Wasl, right? If you see here, it is Hamzatul Wasl, and Hamzatul Wasl here also. Here on the right, and this one. This is Skoon on Alam, and Alif has the Hamzatul Wasl. Hamza. You see how many times the Hamzatul Wasl is in the Surah Fatiha. Okay, there are a lot of times this Hamzatul Wasl comes up. Then now you see here Hamzatul Wasl, here, here, and there could be many more like here. They're all Hamzatul Wasl. But in case of our the normal Quran, the standard format Quran we have in our home, you will not see the Hamzatul Wasl, rather you see the Fatah. Where from this Fatah comes in now? That's the question. You see here Al-Hamdu, but this Alif is the Hamzatul Wasl. It doesn't have a Fatah on it. So we have to understand where from this Fatah comes in, right? That is the actually the gist of this lecture. Now you see here Ar-Rahman, this Alif here, it's not having anything here, right? No Fatah, nothing. So it's Hamzatul Wasl clearly. Here it could have been confused. Is this Alif Hamzatul Wasl or Hamzatul Qata, because it has a Fatah on it. But the Indo-Pak format, they give this fatha to it. But why? Because sometimes it will be given fatha, sometimes kasra, sometimes dhamma. We understand that the rules. But first understand what is Hamzatul Wasl. And you see the Hamzatul Wasl, it comes in the beginning. Okay, it does not have its own voice. Its job is to join the preceding word with this word. Okay, so preceding word's last letter has to be joined with this word. So that is called the Hamzatul Wasl. But sometimes if you start it from there, if you do not read it from the back, you just start it from there, then you have to give him some vowel like fatah, kasra or dhamma. So we understand. Firstly, you see the difference between the mushaf, the masahif. Different masahif have different ways of writing. And it doesn't matter for you now, because if you see the alif without anything, it is the Hamzatul Wasl, because alif is nothing actually, okay? And if you see the Hamza or alif with something like here, it is also the Hamzatul Wasl, you see, okay? But if there is something like a Hamza somewhere which is having its own voice, it's called Hamzatul Qata. Now we understand the difference between these two. Now you see, if I write a word here like Ahmed, see, so it is Ahmed, okay? Now if you see the Ahmed here, now this Ahmed has an Hamza on it. It's not a wasl, because why? Because it's the part of this root word. It's not a Hamd. The name of my kid Ahmed Zak is not the Hamd, it's the Ahmed. So alif, this Hamza, is actually the part of the root word. When it is a part of a root word, it's actually the Hamzatul Qata. Okay, it's a cutting because it gives the sound. But if you say, for example, you have a kitab, you say, for example, al kitabu, for example, al kitabu. Now this alif here is Hamzatul Wasl. You put up a sad there or you don't put up a sad there, it is Hamzatul Wasl. Now what does the Hamza Wasl means? That it has to join this word with the previous letter. So for example, there is a wa on a back. Okay, now what will happen here is, let me write it properly. It is, say for example, wa, then it was the al, then it got the kitabu, it's a kif is on this. The pen is not writing properly. Al kitabu. Now see, now this alif is 100% Hamzatul Wasl. Why? Because it's having nothing on top, and it could be the sad on the top, as you like. Now what will happen is, when it gets the job of joining, that you are not stopping or starting from here, you are connecting the previous word with this one, then this will disappear. It will have no voice. It helps this lam to join with this waw. Okay, so this becomes wal kitabu. So wal, it will not become wa al kitabu, it becomes wal kitabu. That means Hamzatul Wasl, its primary job is to combine the previous letter with this word's first letter, the last letter of the previous word, or some individual letters like wa, okay, means and, with this wa means actually in Arabic and, okay, and it could be some for example, if we see the top here, okay, you see here, it is, if you combine this is Hamzatul Wasl here, as you could see. But if you do not stop here and you continue, now this alif will disappear and this ra will combine with this noon. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. If you stop, but if you don't stop, Alameen Nar-Rahma, it becomes Nar. Nar, it combines, the noon and ra combines, and this alif is gone. Hamzatul Wasl is gone. Its job is done, because what it does, it got here from the noon of the Alameen and joined it with the ra of Ar-Rahman and combined them together, and its job is done. This is what Hamzatul Wasl primary job is, to combine the previous with the new one, and it disappears in the meantime. But If you stop here and you start the word from here only, then there's nothing on the back. What will it combine? You're getting my point? That if you start from there, if it is the first letter of your what you are talking about, then it will take the second job, because it understood there's nobody on the back, so who I'm gonna join. So it takes the response to say, dude, okay, I will be the Hamza, which has some kind of a fatha, kasra, or like a Hamzatul Qata. I will act like a Hamzatul Qata, that I will give my voice. You getting my point? So it becomes like Ar-Rahman. Now it gets the fatha. This alif here gets the fatha. You see, this alif here gets itself fatha, and it becomes Ar-Rahman. That's important. But the question is, why it got the fatha? Why it didn't get the kasra, or why it didn't get the dhamma? Why only it get the fatha here? Okay, say for example here, you say Bismillah. This alif here, if you see, is the Hamdatul Wasl again. So if you continue reading, you say Bismil, Mim and Lam combined together, because this Hamdatul Wasl joined the previous Mim with the Lam, and itself it's gone, disappeared. So you say Bismillah, Bismil. This Mim and Lam combined together, this alif is gone. Bismillah. But if you stop, you say Bismi, then you stop, or you say Bis, you stop. Then what will this be? This will be Allah, because Allah, this alif gets the fatha again. But it will never. You may get a intuition that alif gets all the time fatha. It doesn't get all the time fatha. There are some rules which you're gonna discuss. But firstly, you understood. I will give one more example of the this Hamzatul Qata, so that you understand properly. For example, I told you that Ahmad. I told you Ahmad. In this, the alif is the part of the root word. If it is a part of root, it's the Hamzatul Qata, means Hamza of cutting, which has its own voice, right? No matter what, it will have its own voice. For example, here, if there was a wa on a back, okay, this Hamzatul Wasl is gone, and you combine with the wal kitabu, okay, and or al kitabu. If you stop, if you don't have anything on a back, if you don't have a wa on a back, it becomes al kitabu, the book. It's the al means the book, okay. Kitabu means book, and al kitabu means the book. You put up the al. Now, if you say Ahmad, for example, I said Ahmad, okay, this is Ahmad, okay, and it has a fatha on it. Ahmad. This alif. This is not the Hamzatul Wasl. It's the Hamzatul Qata. Okay, maybe you put up the wa on a back. Okay, will it become Wahmad? No, because if it was a Hamza, if it was an Hamzatul Wasl, then it will disappear. This wa will combine with the ha. It becomes Wahmad. But right now it's Hamzatul Qata. That's the Hamza of cutting. It cuts it. That's why it's called Hamzatul Qata, or cutting. Why? Because it cuts the word here. It will not allow it to join. It will cut it here. It will say it read wa Ahmad. Don't say Wahmad. Don't combine the wa with the ha. Wahmad. No, because Hamzatul Qata, it's gonna be in between. It's gonna cut the word. Stop it there and start from me. I am the boss here. It's the Ahmad, and if something is on a back like wa, Wahmad, no, wa Ahmad. But if it is a Hamzatul Wasl, it will disappear. It will tell the wa to combine with this, like wal kitabu. It will not be wa al kitabu, it will be wal kitabu, because waw and lam will combine. Hamzatul Wasl, it will disappear if it combines, and Hamzatul Qata, it stays. It says, bro, it's me. Cut it here, the y. Say wa, then Ahmed. Now we got few words here, like al-hayatu. Now this alf is a Hamzatul Wasl, but you're writing from that. But if you have something on the back like wow, then alif will go, disappears, it will be wal hayatu. But if you start from there, it's al hayatu, life is the Hamzatul Wasl. And here is the al baytu, home. Al غرفة, room. الكتاب, book. جار, okay, that is the neighbor. Al-jar, when you say al in a friend, it's called the, it is the they. It's like the neighbor. When you say al in front, okay. Now, in all of these, you see these are all what? These are the Hamzatul Wasl, and I put them in the red. These are Hamzatul Qata because they are part of the word. This alif was never the part of the word in this black. In this red, this Hamza is the part of the word. So you have to read them no matter what is on the back. Like ukhtun, like sister. Akhun, brother, okay. Ihsanun, charity. Ummun, mom. And remember these words, okay. Learn these words, like what's the sister, what's the brother, and called in Arabic and all. And they all have these nouns. You see, they are this Hamza is the part of the word. So this is the Hamzatul Qata. No matter what we put on a back, it doesn't matter. That will have a separate voice. This will have a separate voice. But here, if you have something on a back, this alif will simply disappear. Now question comes that if you do not combine the last word with this word, then this alif has to take up some voice. Sometimes it will take fatha, sometimes it will take kasra, sometimes it will take dhamma. Now we need to understand the rules that when we take fatha, when we put on the kasra, and when we put on the dhamma on Hamzatul Wasl, when you start from the Hamzatul Wasl. If you, I repeat, that if you do not start from here, you continue with the previous word, then Hamzatul Wasl disappears. Like my Zach says, long. He says not wrong, he says long. Okay? Let's do again the little recap before I move on to the Hamzatul Wasl, that we have two types of Hamza. That's Hamzatul Qata. Okay? That is the Hamza al-Asl. It's also called Hamza al-Asl. Why it's called Hamza al-Asl? Because it is the original. Okay? It is the original. Hamza al-Asl means it is the original because it has its own voice. Okay? No matter where it sits on, it has its own voice. Okay, no matter what haraka it has its own voice, right? As you could see here. And Hamzatul Wasl, it's at the beginning of the word. It is pronounced if you start from there, but dropped when you continue from the last word, and it starts joining the term. That's what wasl means. Like I say alhamdu if you started from there, but if you do not start from continue from the last, then you say qul hamdu, qulil hamdu, like qaf, dhamma, lam, kasara, and this lam of alhamdu is combined with the lam. This alif is dropped. So qul hamdulillah. Now we see how to put the fatha or kasra or the dhamma on the Hamzatul Wasl if you start from the Hamzatul Wasl. Now you see when to put up the fatha or kasra or dhamma. The first thing we need to understand is the grammar, which we may not be able to understand right now, but we will try to put these things in our brain and just go with later on the practice, and we will understand that. But when we read the Arabic grammar, then we will be well acquainted with these things. Firstly, if the words are verbs, then you apply the third letter rule. If the words are verbs, then you apply the third letter rule. What does that mean is that if the haraka on the third letter is fatha or kasra, that means after the Hamzatul Wasl, if the third letter, this is Hamzatul Wasl, the second letter and third letter, if it has a fatha or the kasra, then the Hamzatul Wasl is read with the kasra. Okay? That means if you see these words, and if the third letter is dhamma, okay, then Hamzatul Wasl will take the dhamma. And there are some exceptions also. Let me a little bit, increase the size of it so that we understand these words. One second. Oh, it becomes too big. Now you see here, now this is the Hamzatul Wasl, the first one, okay, the alif, on the beginning. Now the second letter is seen, the third letter is ta, and it has a fatha on it. So if a third letter is fatha, in this case it is a third letter fatha, then the hamzatul wasl will take the kasra. So it is istajibu. Okay, istajibu. Now in this case, like it is irtada, why this hamzatul wasl get the kasra? Because the third letter that is after the ra, it is a ta, okay, has a fatha. If it has fatha, then put the kasra on the hamzatul wasl. Same is here. Ikshif. Now sheen is the third letter from the hamzatul wasl. It has a kasra, so put the kasra. Same thing is isbar. If the third letter is the ba, which is a kasra, then put the kasra. So we say if the third letter has a fatha or kasra, then the hamzatul wasl. But when you start from there, okay, if you do not start from the hamzatul wasl, you continue from the previous, then hamzatul wasl disappears. But if you chose to start from there, then it will take a kasra if the third letter has the fatha or kasra on it. But it is valid for the verbs only. Now if the third letter has dhamma, now see this one. If the third letter has dhamma, like this, ubtuli, this ta, the third letter is a dhamma, then the hamzatul wasl take the dhamma. Same is here. Okay, this is ustuhfidhu. Now in this case again the ta has a dhamma, so hamzatul wasl take a dhamma. Unzur. So this was, should it be anzur? Should it be inzur? Should it be unzur? Because the ta has a dhamma, then hamzatul wasl will take the dhamma on it. Right? Nice. But there are some exceptions. Okay? There are 5 words which are read with kasra and not the dhamma. They should have been technically with this rule dhamma, and they are the words. But these 5 words we have to remember somehow that they take kasra. Like imzu. The third letter zod was having dhamma. So by the rule, the hamzatul wasl should have taken the dhamma, but it takes the kasra. It is the exception. Exception means something which doesn't follow the rule. So these 5 words doesn't follow the rule. Like one is the imzu, i'tu, imshu, ibnu, and iqzu. Right? Now you see, if there are nouns, okay, hamzatul wasl is always pronounced with kasra. So istighfar, istiqbar, baran, arbar, intiqam, ibtigha, iftira. Any words which are the nouns, like here is the isma'i qiyasiyah, that's verbal nouns. Verbal nouns are those nouns which are made from the verbs. They are called masdar in Arabic. And or empirical nouns, they are all read with the kasra. And the important thing is, if the hamzatul wasl follows by the lam, then they're gonna do what? They're gonna take the fatha for sure. Okay, if you're not getting this properly, it doesn't matter for right now, because this will clear up when we go for the Arabic grammar. Right now you have to understand very few rules, and if you don't understand, skip it, no issues. Just do little practice and we understand it properly, right? Now if you see here, hamzatul wasl, they're all following the lam. You see, hamzatul wasl following lam. So when the hamzatul wasl follows a lam, it takes the fatha. That is why you see here they have taken up the fatha. I told you that they put up the fatha. But why? Because if hamzatul wasl is followed by the lam, it's going to take the fatha. Now same is here. Al. So hamzatul wasl following the lam, so it will be alif, fatha. So it will be ar-Rahman. If you continue with the previous one, alami, then you say nar-Rahman. Okay. No matter where you see here, like ihdina as-siratal mustaqim. Now, but if you stop it here, but here if you see, in the ihdina as-siratal mustaqim, the letter following the alif is not the lam, so it will not take the fatha. Now what will you see? You will see the third letter rule. Third letter rule says if the third letter has a kasra or the fatha, then it will take the kasra, right? Now the third letter is dal, which is taking the kasra here. Okay, let me put the highlighter. Now dal is putting the kasra here, right? That means this alif is gonna take the kasra. So if you start it from here, you will not say uhdinas or ahdinas, you will say ihdinas. So this hamzatul wasl will get the kasra. In this case, here, as you see, they have put up the kasra here for us in case of your Indo-Pak version. But in the Saudi Mus'haf, there is like this hamzatul wasl. Then you have to take the kasra to say because the third letter rule, which is the kasra, that it will take the kasra. If it would have been fatha, it will take the fatha. But if you continue, then this alif will disappear. It will become nuh. Iwa iyaka nasta'een nuh. Nuhdinas sirat, nuhdinas. So this noon and ha will combine because hamzatul wasl means joining. Join the noon of the previous word with the ha of this word. So it becomes nuhdinas siratal mustaqim. Now in this case, it is again the al. Okay, alif and lam, hamzatul wasl followed by the lam. If you stop here and you, what will you read then? You read al mustaqim. But if you do not stop here, okay, then what will you do? You will say, combine ta with the lam, siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladina. But if you stop here, then it will become al ladina because alif followed with the lam, hamzatul wasl will take fatha. Ghayril maghdubi. Again al, alif lam, alif and lam. So if you start from here, it will be al maghdubi. But if you continue the previous one, it will be ghayril. This ra and lam will combine because hamzatul wasl joins them, wasls them, assimilates them. Waladdallin. Again, this is the al, so it's gonna take the fatha. If you start from az, that will be az-zalim. But if you continue, then it will combine the lam with this dad. It will be waladdallin, and this alif will hide. Nice. Let me write some words here. Say for example, it is the Allah. I'm writing on the laptop, writing pad, sorry. It is the Allah. Okay. Now if you say Allah, now what will happen? This is hamzatul wasl here. Okay. Now if you start from here and there is a lam after the alif, so it is going to take the fatha, so Allah. But if you have something on the back like wow, then this alif will disappear. It will be wallah, right? Right. Now try your hands on this. I say this is the hamzatul wasl, then the ha ba. Now this has a sukoon and this has the fatha and it's a sukoon. Now hamzatul wasl is not followed by the lam, so we have to see, we can see the third letter rule. The third letter rule says after the alif is the da and ha, it has a fatha on it. So if the third letter has a fatha or the dhamma, or the kasra on it, if it is kasra or dhamma on it, then this alif is gonna take the kasra. So it will be idhab. Okay, nice. Can we take more words? If it is the fatah, okay, and we have the this hamzatul wasl here. Now tell me, should this alif get the fatah, kasra or dhamma? I think it will take dhamma. What do you say? It will take dhamma. It will take dhamma. You're right. Or right or wrong? Wrong. Very good. Why? Because it will take dhamma only if the third letter has a dhamma on it. The third letter has a fatha on it, or it would have taken the kasra on it. The fatha or kasra on a third letter, this alif is going to take the kasra. So it will be iftah. Okay? Okay. Okay, I think that's all for today, and hope you got this hamzatul wasl and hamzatul qata clearly. If not, you just watch this video 4 time and you will get it. So until next time, ma salama.